We're going to be watching a clip of Will Smith beginning to cry as he speaks about the Oscar slap. Now, the reason why this to me is just so damn silly watching him cry about it is because I personally believe that the Oscar slap was fake. I believe it was staged. And I'm going to show you exactly why I believe that after we watch this clip. And then once I show you why I believe that and we watch the clip again, this clip is going to look silly as hell. Just watch.
That was a horrific night, man. That was a horrific night.
To you.
For me, yeah.
For all the real ones who understood, I'm gonna stand up for my wife, whether I'm right or wrong in any place. So I understood that. I don't care what you say. Nobody can make me think that anything you did was wrong.
Let me tell you one of the words, because I was right there. And I get home, and my nephew, 9 years old, his name's Dom. He is the sweetest kid in the world. You know, him and my sister live with me, and I'm sitting, we got these bean bags in the kitchen. I'm sitting in the kitchen, he's sitting between my legs, and he's holding the Oscar. And he goes, "Why you hit that man, Uncle Will?" And I was like, "Oh!"
You gotta explain that to him.
And it's like, you know, I'm gonna be crying. Somebody got tissue? And it was, I got one. And it was like, see, I knew y'all was gonna have me, yeah, right?
All good.
You can't explain it to him. He stayed up late.
Right, waited for you.
Waited for Uncle Will, you know, and it was like, you know, I can do all the justifications forever.
Right. He won't understand it.
He can't, you know. That was a horrific night, man. That was.
Yo, Will, why are you crying for real? Let us know why you actually crying. Here's the reason why I believe that the slap was fake. Let's just go to Google. Let's type in Will Smith Oscar slap. There's a lot of different photos. You can scour the entire internet. You will not find a photo of Will Smith making contact with Chris Rock's face. That's the first thing. We could search. They'll have every single picture but the contact being made. And then I even went as far as like, all right, bet. Let me click on the video by the Guardian right here. This is titled, "Watch the uncensored moment Will Smith smacks Chris Rock on stage at the Oscars." Let's watch it. Let's watch it happen.
I'm out here. Richard. Oh, wow.
Like, let's be real. Oh, wow. That's what you're doing after you get the shit slapped out of you on the Oscar stage. You laughing and saying, oh, wow. I mean, just the body language of Chris Rock, the way he steps forward and is leading in, waiting for him to slap him, just gives it away, bro. Like, he's just there leaning in, waiting for the slap.
Oh, wow. Wow. Will Smith just smacked the shit out of me.
I feel like now it's much more easy to see that it's like, all right, it's fake because time has passed, the hype is gone. But I'm talking about this was the clip of the century, or at least the clip of the year when this joint happened. When was this? In like 2023? This was 3 years ago. So now I just find it so damn funny how Will Smith is over here making clips of himself crying, talking about the slap when the shit looks fake. You know what I'm saying? The cat is out of the hat. Or however you say it. The elephant is in the room, whatever the fuck you want to say, all these animals and shit. Look at this clip right here.
Were you?
Oh wait, hold. There's another. Let me type it in.
That was.
Let me type it in right now. Hold
to
on.
you.
For me, yeah.
I'm gonna type in Will.
For all the real ones who understood, I'm gonna stand up for my wife, whether I'm right or wrong in any. Here's
another clip of him crying, thinking about the Oscar slap.
Now I'm crying for real.
Now he's crying for real. He's crying for real now. So now you have to ask yourself, it's like, okay, it was staged, boom. That could just be one of like the greatest like acting scenes, period. You feel what I'm saying? But now where's the fine line? Because he's kind of bringing the acting into real life. Now, is it just acting or is it just him being a complete liar in front of the world? What do y'all think? Because he's crying multiple times talking about the slap or whatever you want to call it. You feel what I'm saying? But now, what we're going to get into here, where is the entire Smith family? We have this video right here. It's posted by Lou Extras. He does great videos. And we're gonna see what's going on with the entire Smith family. I seen like one clip, I think this girl right here, she was talking about how she didn't want to give credit to her family, that her success was like self-made or some shit. I mean, unfortunately and fortunately, you came from the Will Smith family, so her success is greatly influenced by her parents. It is what it is. You know what I'm saying? You can consider it a blessing if you want, but I wouldn't want to take that away. But that's all I have to say about that. Let's get into this video right here, and I want to hear your thoughts about the slap itself down in the comment section. If you still believe it or if you don't. If you still believe it, hey, to each their own. You feel what I'm saying?
We're about as close to show business royalty as it came, led by Will being consistently ranked among the highest grossing and highest paid actors in Hollywood.
I do gotta give it to Will though. Phenomenal acting. He's able to cry on the spot. He's able to cry on the spot in some random ass podcast talking about a fake slap. That's one hell of an actor. You know what I'm saying? I will give credit where it's due. Pursuit of Happiness, tough. And he's acting on podcasts and shit.
The former musician turned big screen megastar had laid the foundation for his two kids, Jaden and Willow, to live a charmed life beyond anything he experienced in West Philadelphia during his youth.
What the hell happened to Jaden? What's going on over here?
To live a charmed life beyond anything he experienced in West Philadelphia during his youth. Likewise, his wife, actress and musician Jada Pinkett Smith, could pursue any project she wanted with the knowledge that the man behind such blockbusters as Men in Black, Independence Day, and Hancock could hold down the fort. But as they all evolved in the public eye and aspects of their real lives began to spill out, people went from aspiring to be like Hollywood's first family to actively taking pity on them and anyone else who gets sucked into their dysfunctional web. From entanglements and slaps, the past few years have destroyed the mystique around them once and for all. And now, each of them is struggling to pick up the pieces. It's your boy Luis, and this is where the Smith family are now. When discussing this celebrity clan, there's no better place to start than with the man who put them all on the map in the first place. Yet, before we can discuss his downfall, we must first explain the depths of his fame and the love that he once received from the entire world. Once an aspiring rapper, Will first emerged in the public eye, some early success, and even won the first rap Grammy. Hits like Summertime and Girls Are Nothing But Trouble could only sustain them for so long. Slowly, the wheels of what seemed like a profitable enterprise fell off, leaving the kid from West Philly back where he started.
We released our next album and it was like a flop. It went like double plastic. I spent all my money.
Double plastic.
I didn't forget, but I didn't pay the IRS. In my mind, I mean, I wasn't like trying to avoid paying taxes. I was just like, oh damn, they need their money. The IRS took all of that stuff. So I was like, broke. Being famous and broke is a shitty combination because you're still famous and people recognize you, but they recognize you while you sitting next to them on the bus.
But his future wouldn't be so uncertain for long, as he eventually got his big break when TV came calling.
So Benny walks me in and introduced me to Quincy. And like, hey Q, what's up, man? He's like, hey man, you know, I saw your music videos. I love what you're doing. I love what you're doing. Tell me your rap name again? They call me the Fresh Prince. All right, good. That's what we're gonna call the show.
The show in question was The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, the renowned sitcom which not only entertained a generation of kids, but was Will's stepping stone to stardom. Once he had established himself as a valuable commodity on screen, Hollywood soon wanted to cash in. And from Bad Boys in 1995 through to King Richard in 2021, there is the perception that he was a safe bet when it came to the box office. Granted, not all of these films were critical success. Think Bright or Wild Wild West, but they certainly made plenty of money as people flocked to see Will. Meanwhile, he kept one foot in the rap game, racking up platinum-selling albums all through the 90s, until he finally put the mic down for good with 2005's Lost and Found. This would be hard for most people to sustain, as oversaturation can usually kill a career. But if there was one thing that was the glue, which allowed the Will Smith train to stay on the tracks, it was his squeaky clean image, which made America and the world welcome him with their heart. Even back in the days when he was a rapper, Will was different from his contemporaries in that his rhymes were free of profanity. I was 12 years old and I started rapping, he said of his career origins. So I had my rap book and I was writing my stuff. I had my little curse words in my rap book, and my grandmother found it, turned to the back page and said, "Dear Willard, truly intelligent people do not use words like this to express themselves. Please show the world you're as smart as we think you are. Love, Gigi." I read that and I was like, fuck. And from that point on, he governed his career on this principle. But while this made him a fortune beyond his wildest dream, it created issues with how he was perceived as a man. My story was very different from the ones being told by the young black men who were launching the global phenomenon that would later become hip-hop. He said in his autobiography, "In their minds, I was somehow an illegitimate artist. They would call me soft, whack, corny, a bubblegum rapper, criticisms that violently infuriated me." And as he got older, his image of the man who doesn't need to curse to sell records grated on people, notably Eminem.
It's the whole gender of rap. He dissed gangster rap music. I felt like he was taking a stab at me and Dre and anybody who uses profanity on a record to express themselves. Not everybody is as happy as Will Smith. So if he sees life about birds and bees and wants to rap about flowers, then let him rap about birds and bees and flowers. But don't diss nobody else.
Still, besides hip-hop's reservations about his belief that he was better than them for refusing to cuss, Will was still almost universally beloved at one point. But what no one realized was that the real him was never fully present whenever the cameras were around or when he hit that red light in the recording booth. And as it turned out, he was a ticking time bomb whose life lived in the shadows would soon come to light. As he geared up for the release of his best-selling autobiography, Will Smith seemed to hint towards the fact that the man he presented on screen and who he really was were, to at least some extent, two different people.
I'm coming into a space.
How have you maintained your authenticity? Because I mean, you come from Philly, you've gone through everything. Like your journey's been crazy. Like how have you maintained that?
I haven't maintained my authenticity per se. I've maintained my character in two senses. I've maintained my character of Will Smith, and I've maintained my personal character of what I believe in. So, but in terms of authenticity, the character, Will Smith, signs every autograph and is always happy and wants to see the fans and is always in a good mood, and that's actually not authentic, right? I do want to slap somebody, you know, every once in a while. So in terms of authenticity, I have successfully maintained positivity, and now I'm working more to maintain authenticity.
That's a really
When you think about it,
really
this is a lot for any means to bear. When empires rest on you keeping some grand, closely guarded illusion in place. And as he spoke out more and more, it was clear that the veil had started to slip.
I painted myself into a corner with Will Smith, and I realized that, you know, we have our childhood traumas and we have our experiences, and then we all create these characters that are going to be our characters that defend us in the world. Ooh. There's certain things we can't do, there's certain things we can't say, certain ways we react if people do something, and we create a character that we go out into the world with. Then that character win some things for us. It's like, oh, we succeed by behaving this way. Then what happens, you get to a point where it stops working as well. And the reason that it stops working is because it's not true.
And as more of his personal life stumbled into the conversation, it was clear that so little of what was presented to the world rang true in his day-to-day existence.
Me and Jada talk about that a lot, you know, even in the idea of our marriage and how people want us to be married versus how we're really married. Right. You know what I mean? It's like it's a really different thing, and it's so hard to let go of the characters
what people
want to see, and because also those characters saved your life when you were young.
Right.
Yes. So letting go of that and having the courage to really be who you are in the world, it's like, it's terrifying.
Suddenly, the man that we all saw as the epitome of cool wasn't the charismatic and self-assured Fresh Prince. Instead, it was a man who was vulnerable and even envious of his wife's friendship with the late Tupac.
Were you ever jealous of the love Jada had?
Friendship. Hey, I get it. You know what I'm saying? You can call that joint a friend with benefits. That's, you know what I'm saying? That's a special friends. Really, 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 really good friends. I mean, I'm talking whole cheek on his bald head. Come on, you know what's going on.
Of his wife's friendship with the late Tupac.
Were you ever jealous of the love Jada had for Tupac?
Yeah, that was a big regret for me too, because I could never open up to interact with Pac. But she just loved him like he was the image of perfection, but she was with the Fresh Prince. It was like, I never could, like, even we were in a room together a couple times, I couldn't speak to him, you know, and, you know, he wasn't going to speak to me if I wasn't going to speak to him. That was a huge regret of mine. I just I couldn't handle it, you know. I was the soft rapper from Philly, and he was Pac.
Right.
Yeah, no, I was deeply insecure, and just, I wasn't man enough to handle that relationship.
While all these feelings are valid, the problem was that bottling them up for so long in favor of keeping the wheels on his public image moving could only work for so long. And as we all know, it would fully unravel on the night of the 2022 Academy Awards. That night should have been a crowning glory, as he went from being a sitcom to an Oscar-winning actor for his role in King Richard. But instead, the man who Jimmy Kimmel had previously referred to as the nicest man in Hollywood saw his reputation go up in smoke.
Oh, wow. Wow. Will Smith just smacked the shit out of me.
Keep my wife's name out your fucking mouth.
Wow, dude.
Yes.
It was a G.I. Jane jump.
Keep my wife's name out your fucking mouth.
I'm going to.
With that one rash action in defense of his wife, Will Smith was not only banned from the Oscars for 10 years, but fundamentally changed how the world saw him. And even when he tried to shoot himself some bail, the whole world, including his own family, weren't willing to simply forget the change they'd seen take place before their eyes.
It was a lot of things. It was the little boy that watched his father beat up his mother. That was a rage that had been bottled for a really long time. I lost it. My nephew, Dom, is 9. You know, we came home and it's like he had stayed up late to see his Uncle Will. And he's just like, why did you hit that man, Uncle Will? You know, damn it. Why are you trying to Oprah me?
Since then, his film career has essentially come to a halt, making one of the most financially lucrative stars of the previous era now left out in the cold. With the exception of Bad Boys Ride or Die, Will has barely stepped in front of the camera since the incident, unless it was to film a music video. Because once the acting world took a step away from him, Will decided it was time to return to the culture that had first given him fame and fortune in hip-hop. Released 20 years after his last foray into the booth, Will teased the release of his new album based on a true story.
Yeah, I've been seeing that Will Smith has been making some music.
Oh, it would be his greatest work.
This is the first time in my life where I'm able to devote the time and energy to every single line, making sure every single line is exactly what I want to say.
Along the way, he sought counsel from modern-day greats, all of whom told him to embrace honesty in a way that he never did before.
You know, I made 2 phone calls. I talked to Jay and I talked to Kendrick, and I was like, hey, I want to get back in music. Jay said, don't fake your story. And he said, you'll be looking at the younger rappers and you want that to be true for you, but you don't live like that. And Kendrick, he paused, he said, man, just say that shit you always been fucking scared to say. And it was like, the same thing. Yes, basically the same thing. And it was like, be honest.
A record which featured contributions from the likes of Big Sean, Russ, Joyner Lucas, and others. The bars addressed his turbulent life with bars like, personal life with my wife, mind your business is complicated. All that matters is the fact that I'm getting compensated. Elsewhere, he addressed the infamous slap. But even with all the intrigue over what on earth a Will Smith rap album would sound like in 2025, the response was poor. Commercially, he'd never released a solo album that hadn't gone at least gold, and now, this one failed to chart entirely. While in the United Kingdom, based on a true story, reportedly sold under 300 total copies. As for reviews, Pitchfork gave the album a savage one, granting it just a 2.4 out of 10, while also claiming it was a pointless apology tour and corny. And unfortunately, the only support came from the kind of sources that would only worsen his image presently, like Kanye. Elsewhere, he was flamed by Chris Rock's brother Tony, who essentially said that the controversy surrounding his infamous Oscars incident, and the speculation he might talk about it, was the only selling point there was.
Yeah, hey, well, great time to be a comic right now. Will Smith has an album out, and it's a piece of well, like that trying to sell a album. I'm surprised he wasn't talking about being a drug dealer on this one, or he went to jail and got shot 9 times. He's trying to sell a album.
Not knowing when to quit, Will has continued to double down into music, and to say that the Pretty Girls track that followed hasn't helped matters would be an understatement. This is a midlife crisis. This man was the most beloved actor in the world for years. His downfall needs to be studied. And recently, he dropped a freestyle, which have left people wishing that he would just put the mic back.
You know, there's two sides to it though. You know what I'm saying? Like, forgetting like the Oscar stuff and stuff like that. Maybe he just wants to do something different. He's probably been acting for so long. He probably wants to get back into music. He gonna start making some music. I'm like, but this is probably not what I want to do. And he's probably just gonna try something else. People are always gonna have some wild things to say. When I first seen him rapping again, I'm like, obviously it's not gonna sound like the new generation, but it's like I'm looking at it as just like a old head doing what he loves, doing what he wants to do.
Back on the shelf.
But if you talking crazy out your face up on the stage and disrespect me on the stage, expect me on the stage. Jokers dish it out, cry foul when it's time to take it.
You got this nigga over here acting like what he was saying was actually hard.
Expect me on the stage. Jokers dish it out,
you know that joint wasn't fire.
City full of real ones, wasn't raised to fake it.
This was more like fire in the dumpster. I am the illest sounds like affirmations he says in the mirror every day before facing the world. In the case of Will Smith, we see how an icon can fall under a string of bad decisions and personal revelations which destroy the idea of who they are. But let's be clear that the Fresh Prince didn't destroy his legacy single-handedly. Instead, his downfall was basically a co-op mission between him and his longtime partner, Jada Pinkett Smith. Back in the day, Jada and her superstar husband were seen as the definition of how success and love could thrive simultaneously. Married since 1987, the image as a bulletproof family unit was so pronounced that J. Cole spoke about how he thought that Jada and Will love are no role models. But it's safe to say that this line hits a lot different these days.
I want a real love, dark skin and Aunt Viv love. That leave a toothbrush at your crib, love.
And when it comes to what brought down this part of their dynasty, you need to only look at Jada's decisions to share every facet of their life with the public. In this sense, her once popular
I'm not gonna lie, Jada did Will dirty. There was just certain things that didn't need to be aired out. Aired him out. You know what I'm saying? It's one thing for a man to be vulnerable, like to get to that vulnerable place with someone, with a woman. It's vulnerable. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's a place that you're able to be hurt. It's a place that someone could leverage against you. And best believe, Jada leveraged it.
Facebook live show Red Table Talk was what destroyed them. Initially intended as an open forum, they said it was a place for real conversations to happen.
We just always want to have just real conversations, and so I think it's we're in the conversation with you, right? Yeah, we're sharing our stories, we're sharing our experiences. It's a safe space for vulnerability.
But over time, it became something more sinister, and eventually, it would be the venue for the beginning of the end for the Smiths, where she decided to open up about her extramarital relationships, namely her bond with August Alsina.
4.5 years ago, started a friendship with August. We actually became really, really good friends. Mm-hmm. And it all started with him just needing some help. Me wanting to help his health, mental state.
And then what did you do, Jada?
You know, as time went on, I got into a different kind of entanglement with August.
An entanglement?
Yes. Yes.
A relationship?
Yes, it was a relationship, absolutely.
Before it was all said and done, Jada made him feel inadequate for good measure, but they then insisted they were never.
She had some damn nerve to call that joint an entanglement. If you're gonna call it an entanglement, just say you were getting cracked from the back. You know what I'm saying? By the younger dude that's not you. That's essentially what she said.
Splitting up.
25 years and counting.
We ride together.
We die together.
Bad marriage for life.
This whole thing probably seemed to Jada like an opportunity to speak her truth to the world. To the public, it's not only permanently soured how we saw them, but it's safe to say that no one else saw it that way. As while she maintained that she was in a lot of pain, no one truly believed that she was suffering in any way compared to the mental turmoil that Will endured from having to reveal that to the public. Will looked uncomfortable as Their laughter looked forced. Will was really hurt. She just didn't care. With that, the public began to look at their dynamic in a whole new light, charting all the time that she pestered her husband online or generally violated his boundaries.
I would say don't just start filming me without asking me
Oh my goodness.
if you could film me.
Sam, come help us again, please. I'm still dealing with foolishness.
Because she don't just...
Would you say that she helped us?
Jada is one of those. She's one of those. She doesn't respect Will Smith. From exposing him like that on the Red Table Talk to now filming when he doesn't want to be filmed to put on the internet, talk about some real shit. She has stripped Will Smith down, and that's probably why he swings the other way. He probably been swinging the other way, but either way, any masculinity that he did have, Jada been stripping that shit down since Tupac till today in 2019, till the Red Table Talk.
Heal the hurts that we cause between one another.
My social media presence is my bread and butter, okay? So you can't just use me for social media and not, don't just start rolling. I'm standing in my house. Don't just start rolling.
Please watch us stare at the Red Table because she's helped us a lot, can't you tell?
With this, people were left feeling betrayed because through Jada exposing what Will really tolerated, it destroyed the concept of who he was.
For Jada in particular though, she just really came off as the stereotype that a lot of men have about women refusing to be accountable for the ways in which they hurt the men close to them. Jada in many ways dances around the nature of this relationship and at one point calls it an entanglement, which makes Will, who this whole time has always played the supportive and aloof partner, break character, where he has to almost side-eye her and her use of that term and confront her with being accountable for what it really was, a relationship that she had with another man. Aside from the concerning nature of her relationship with August, I think a lot of black men find themselves very angry at Jada because of what she did to our image of Will Smith and what that says about black men's experiences seeking love and seeking to do things the quote-unquote right way.
Still, he stood by her through it all, even as she announced the launch of her tell-all memoir that was only going to dredge up more.
But that's the thing, there's a specific dynamic between a man and a woman. If a man's in a relationship and he's disrespecting his woman, then it's like the woman is the victim, 100%. If there's a relationship where the woman is disrespecting the man and he's just taking it, he's not the victim. He's just getting disrespected. And then everyone else around him is going to end up losing respect when they see that. It's completely different. And that's exactly what she has been doing to Will Smith. It's messed up, but that's Hollywood.
Of their private life into the public eye.
I applaud and honor you. If I had read this book 30 years ago, I definitely would have hugged you more. I'll start now. Welcome to the Authors Club. I love you endlessly. Now go get some Merlot and take a rest.
He know I can't have no Merlot. That's beautiful. And that's why I can't divorce that joker.
As the press tour for her book Worthy picked up steam, sources claim that the kids feel bad for their dad with all the recent headlines about their parents. They know he has been going through a lot lately, and this isn't helping. They wish some of their family's private matters remained private. With Jada still intent on profiting from the turmoil she was causing, it only seemed poetic when the book flopped. Not just because it deserved to, but because all the juiciest bits were already public knowledge long before it hit the shelves.
Basically what I'm asking is, it seems like in every single interview she gave away a lot of the book's content, so what's the point of buying the book?
This was not interesting. People just did not give a f. We were tired of Jada.
You don't want to hear
about
about Tupac being your soulmate.
So it don't matter.
Or him proposing to you. You watch you on Red Table Talk, you and your mom and your daughter talk. Y'all all done y'all conversations about your past. And like, what else is there for us to know at this point?
To her detractors' delight, she failed to make the top 100 of the Kindle e-reader chart, where it had only sold 2,700 copies and wound up at number 81 on its bestseller list. And for everything she'd done to tarnish her husband's reputation, it couldn't help but feel like justice to some degree. However, she's far from the only member of the family to suffer from personal projects flopping. Throughout his career, Jaden has continually strived to be something more than the son of Will and Jada. It's for reasons such as this that the former child actor who starred in films like The Pursuit of Happiness and Karate Kid was emancipated at age 15.
You got to a point where you told me straight up, you were like, Mom, I have to leave here to live my life.
Totally.
And I remember thinking to myself, as devastated as I was like, he's right. Yeah. The time is now. He's 15. It's time for him to leave the house.
But prior to him truly making anything of his own, people feel like it was a foregone conclusion that he would be a success.
That is Jaden Smith. Think about it. He is the first rich black kid, really, like, of royalty, where people are like, you're Will Smith's dad. He has room to fail.
But it isn't just that he's always in the shadow of his father, but that he always presumes that what he's doing is more profound than it truly is.
What's the most embarrassing thing that's ever happened to you?
It's pretty embarrassing when my dad tries to kiss me on the mouth in public. He tried to make a heart with our hands like this. I was against that as well.
You weren't down with the heart with
yeah.
Dad. I think it's sweet that your dad loves you so much.
I appreciate the love, but there's a time and place to kiss somebody.
I got it.
Yeah.
I got it.
Especially on the lips. As a grown-ass teenage man or a teenage boy, your dad kissing on the lips, that's different. Hell nah, I would never do that to my son, ever. What the hell? The hell kind of type of shit is that?
A kid with no concept of how the real world actually worked, Jaden was permitted to try his hand at everything without any real ramifications if it goes wrong, including becoming a laughingstock on social media for assuming he was wise beyond his years. If everybody in the world was out of school, we would have a much more intelligent society. You actually kind of sound like an idiot. From the release of his Project Sire onwards, Jaden has been certain that his work was generational.
To me, Sire is the kid who always chases the sun, but he's like a modern Cupid. He's a symbol of love and teenage love, but most of all, he's a symbol of teenage heartbreak and sadness. He's kind of like a myth, like a legend. Sire exists in the clouds, on the mountaintops, like in the sunset, and he just represents, broken, lost teenage youth, lost love.
There are some things I have done that are very, very iconic, like wearing a skirt in Louis Vuitton, or like crying in my music videos. So I feel like that's iconic because no one does those things,
But both his misguided parts and his antics just kept making him a meme, rather than the mainstream artist that he hoped to be.
I am very happy that I spent my childhood with more adults than I did with kids my own age, because I was picking up more things from adults than I were from kids my own age.
Mm-hmm.
And I look and I go around sometimes and I hang out with other people that are my age, and they're just kind of selfie. I'm just like, dude, like, oh my God, like, can we talk about like the political and economic state of the world right now?
When you weren't born into wealth and privilege and never had any real problems, you go looking for them. Him and his family are so unbelievably out of touch with reality. Despite all the evidence to the contrary, Jaden once thought he was making inroads to the upper reaches of the hip-hop world. I always felt like Little Homie before, and that allowed me in all of their circles. But now that I'm on the charts next to them, I'm not Little Homie anymore. It's more like, you can't hang out with us anymore. We didn't know you were making an album this whole time. We thought you were just Little Homie, giving us free water and shit. You're not really cool with us anymore. But in reality, like I break down more in depth in my video on Jaden Smith over on the main channel, it's actually been the complete opposite. While Sire initially got some traction and even got certified, his music has been progressively ignored. All the while, he couldn't outrun his family drama, with it stalking his every move into the media.
Even most recently, mom and dad going through something, or you're going through something in public. How do you guys communicate with one another when that happens? Is it completely like that's the entertainment world and that doesn't affect the family, or?
It's kind of like that's the entertainment world. Also, by the time anyone is like writing or talking about anything, it's like we've been
beyond it.
Old news for us.
Where Jaden sees himself as a trailblazing artist, he has instead been reduced to a tabloid figure. And in the past few years, there has been more interest in Jaden's love life than his music. For a while, he was dating an influencer known as Sob Zeta, becoming so infatuated with her that it stopped him from putting out a new project, writing in February 2024, album soon, I've Been Distracted. But after he was caught kissing influencer and model Cleopatra, she was then seen with rapper Diablo, shading Smith in a photo of the two of them together. And where each of his project is largely met with a tepid response, this actually caused some social media buzz, although his attempts to parlay it into music didn't result into sales.
So talk to me about why, after 3 years, a break from music, you decided now was the time to make a return.
Just because I was sad, honestly, and I wanted to share that.
Is it more difficult to kind of process your emotions through music, or is it easier for you that way?
I think it's easier. I think it's a lot easier. You know what I mean? Like, just to say something through music.
Intent on acting like he was a Kanye when he is really more of a Kid Ink, Jaden continues to look goofy at every turn. And because he flops left and right, he's never getting anywhere near as well as his sibling. The youngest of the Smith family, Willow dropped her debut single at just 9 years old, and it was a smash. Whip My Hair peaked just outside the top 10, proving early on that she had star potential, and at that point, had already achieved more in music than her brother ever had. But while you might have assumed that she was delighted with starting her career at such a prodigious age, Willow, who wouldn't release an album until 5 years later, despised it.
It was after that whole Whip My Hair thing, and I had just stopped doing singing lessons.
Right.
And I was kind of just in this gray area of who am I? Is there, do I have a purpose? Is there anything that I can do besides this? After the tour and the promotion and all of that, and it was they wanted me to finish my album. And I was just no, I'm not gonna do that.
In fact, it led to a spiral of depression, which led to self-harm and caused her to reflect on whether she was pushed into the spotlight by her parents prematurely.
It was just so crazy, and I was just plunged into this black hole. And I was myself.
What?
Yourself,
I didn't see that part.
A long time ago.
Yourself where?
On my wrist. I mean, you can't even see it, but there's still a little something there, but totally lost my sanity for a moment there.
I definitely had to forgive you and Daddy for the whole Whip My Hair thing. It was mostly Daddy because he was so harsh at certain times, she said. It was a couple of years, honestly, trying to regain trust for not feeling like I was being listened to or like no one cared how I felt, she continued. And I had to forgive myself because I felt guilty because everyone is trying to make me better, trying to make my dream. But I didn't really understand what my dream entailed. Since then, Willow has strived to put that era behind her and even shaved her head during a performance of the track. And where that track came closer to poppy R&B, she has been genre hopping ever since, even dipping into pop punk with her album, Lately I Feel Everything. Along the way, she's got her brother's tendency to comparing herself to legends.
Album number 6, that's quite one.
Yeah. What always makes me feel better is that Prince has so many albums, and he, obviously was an icon, and sometimes I think about it and I'm like, oh my God, too many albums. But then I just think about Prince and I'm like, never too many albums.
Beyond that, she's also prone to her mother's oversharing, telling her parents that she was polyamorous, sparking a debate around the Red Table Talk.
In my friend group, I'm the only polyamorous person, and I have the least sex out of all of my friends.
I think anything goes as long as the intentions are clear. You know what I mean?
To everyone.
Yeah.
Most people are practicing monogamy because they feel like they have no other choice.
Right.
We all know that most people out here doing unethical non-monogamy any damn way.
Could you imagine being in a group and loving everyone equally?
No.
Whether it be platonic or not? Wow, well then I don't know what to say.
But where Jaden generally only talks to talk, Willow actually backs it up. Now 6 projects deep into her career, Willow found her sound on Empathogen.
23, 6 albums out. How is this project gonna be different from everything else you've done?
This album is my first grown-up album. There's never a moment in your life where you're like, this is me. There is a moment in your life where you realize what really matters to you, and you realize the path that you're always gonna be on. And for me, that path is sharpening my musicianship, my compassion, and those two go hand in hand, and I feel like this album is the first album where I'm on the same page with myself.
a project which led her critics to hail her evolution, Willow has been open about the fact that she's been striving for acceptance for a long time, and now she's finally got it.
When I was 12, I sat down and I was like, dang, can I really call myself a musician? I remember the moment I was in my room and I was like looking up videos of like my favorite artists and just like trying to vibe out on something. And then I hit a dark thought and I was like, it just hit me really hard in that moment. Like, no, I can't. Now I feel differently about that. And it's because I just really put the hard work in to prove to myself. Because sometimes in my life I felt like, oh, like see me, like I'm working hard at this, accept me. And that's never the way.
Currently opening for Coldplay on tour, it's fair to say that at the moment, she's the Smith that's leading the pack, even finding value in that early viral hit, which she once loathed.
My message hasn't really changed. Like, with my hair is like, be yourself, live out loud, don't care what anybody thinks, express yourself. That hasn't really changed. So I really feel like Whip My Hair is just a foundation for everything that has come later, you know what I'm saying?
Now that we've looked at Willow, that's the end of the biological members of the Smith clan. However, there's still one person who's become as intertwined with the family name in the headlines as anyone else, and that is August Alsina. Emerging onto the scene in 2012, August seemed like a genuine R&B prospect. Signed to Def Jam, following his The Product mixtapes, his debut album Testimony peaked at #2 on the Billboard charts, with audiences praising his unique style. Back then, any headlines surrounding August genuinely revolved around his music, except for that one time he revealed he wouldn't go down on women, something which people may argue makes more sense knowing what we know now.
Listen, I don't know why people make a big deal out of this. Like, goddamn, I don't eat pussy. I'm young. I ain't about to. I guess the world we live in, people just, that's what goes on. Everybody just eating, everybody puss. And I'm cool right now, man. Like, you know, one day, of course, but blah, blah.
But that would all change with the news of his entanglement with Jada, a woman who he first met as a friend of her son's. Now, years on, this is still brought up at every turn, with August claiming that he feels that it skewed the image of who he is.
People can have whatever ideas that they like, but what I'm not okay with is my character, you know, being in question. When certain things are questionable that I know is not me, or that I know that I haven't done, you know, contrary to what some people may believe.
Getting with your friend's mom, I don't think you can come back from that one. Your friend's mom is crazy. Even if, because I think it was probably more likely that Jada was throwing signs to August first. And like she almost was seeking him first. And then he gave in. It could have been a situation like that. But either way though, that's like the ultimate break of borough code.
I'm not a troublemaker. I don't like drama. Drama actually makes me nauseous, you know what I'm saying? And I also don't think that it's ever important for people to know what I do, who I sleep with, who I date, right?
But even though they aired his business, he still wouldn't drag them, and claimed that he's ultimately the one who's lost out, even though he'd cleared it up with Will.
I actually sat down with Will and had a conversation due to the transformation from their marriage to life partnership that they've spoken on several times, and it not involving romanticism. He gave me his blessing, and I totally gave myself to that relationship for years of my life.
Along the way, he tried to distance himself from the whole thing, but sources claim that it was more than it was portrayed as. Jada Pinkett Smith definitely downplayed a 4-year relationship. It was not an entanglement, and that's what made it so unfortunate. Alsina did not drag them in any interviews. It was not a scandal. It was just Alsina telling his truth and getting his life back. He was actually getting sick from the stress of the romance, physically sick. Eventually, he made a track with Rick Ross dubbed Entanglement, where he broached the situation and just tried to move on. But when the show money dried up, he did what everyone else does and looked towards reality TV, where he wound up on The Surreal Life. However, his ties to the Smith scandal nearly stopped him from taking part at all. I would say that going into it, that probably was one of the factors for me that felt like, do I really want to do this? Because I didn't want to go into a situation where people would grab for low-hanging.
We're gonna leave that right there. We ain't come here for August Alsina or nothing like that. But like I said, comment down below what you think about the Will Smith slap. And it seems like it has affected his career. Or It's affected his career, definitely. That's going to be a monumental moment in his career. I do like to read your thoughts. Comment it down below. Smash the like button, subscribe, turn on post notifications. I'm going to catch you guys in the next video.